And what made you become that like the intersection of like hip hop and cannabis? Because that was totally out of left field, but I
Yeah.
love that you did that because you really differentiated yourself from like anything else that was on the market.
It's really a chance,
Mhm.
it was a job I was working that had me in Denver, that had me go to Denver, and this was late 2014, and this is after
Mhm.
Denver. I mean, this is after Colorado had passed legalization, and you know, dispensaries everywhere. So I'm out there in Denver for 2 weeks, and I just remember taking notes and just being so taken aback by how free people were with the weed. I was like, I've spoke since I've been in college. I've been around a lot of people who smoked weed, some major people, some smaller people, business owners to athletes. I never thought about it from the
Everybody.
perspective of how free it is for people across the board until I went to Denver that time. So I
Right.
was kicking it though, and I was loving the vibe. But one thing that stuck out to me immediately was I didn't see a whole lot of black people in any place other than of that of a consumer at that time. And again, this is still fairly early in Colorado's growth and Denver and all that. So, but I didn't see too many black people. I mean, I know that Wanda James existed, but outside of that, when I was there for my 2 weeks, the black people I saw were all cannabis consumers, not business owners or anything like that. So, when I was right before I left, my big thing is reading magazines. Right before I left, I decided to scoop up as many magazines and many free newspapers I could from Denver, just to kind of see what the story was like down there. And as I flipped through pages, I kept seeing the same thing, which was no black people. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like this conversation
Right.
just happened out the blue, and somehow we bypassed the fact that a certain group of people have been criminalized for this plan for years, decades, actually. You know what I mean? And then now we have this new conversation, and I guess we're just going to wash all that away. Well, I felt a type of way about that. So when I got back home, um, I decided to go back to my traditional roots, which is I'm a journalist, and at that time when I was in Denver, I was actually working for a nonprofit, and I was taking a break from being a hip hop journalist, quote unquote. I had a chance to write for Double XLs to YoRaps.com, but I had to take a break from that. It was just driving me crazy. But when I got back home, I thought to myself, man, I got to put my journalist hat back on. Like, there has to be something I could do, like maybe tell a story about how we have this new weed craze, but I don't really see black people. So what started off as me
Right.
possibly writing a story that I could pitch to other outlets, which becomes another story. How many outlets I know, friends of mine at high places in hip hop publications who turned down a basic story about this because they said it was talking about drug use. Now, mind you,
It's
I'm from hip
crazy,
hop.
right? That is
All I've ever heard is drug
crazy.
use. But yeah, several people turned that story down. So I thought, maybe I got to put my own weight behind it. So I put a couple of dollars together and I started a documentary at the time called The Color Green, Cash Color
Ah.
Cannabis,
Yeah, that's
where
what
me
yeah, yes, yes, I
so me and
remember.
my man Danny Digital, who was
Yes.
my videographer, we went from Atlanta to New York, LA, and DC, and we filmed some interviews at that time. This is 2015, and filmed some interviews with some people who were new in the cannabis space, but people of color who were new in the cannabis space, and just kind of speaking to them about some of the hurdles they faced, why we feel like we're not seeing more people of color lean towards this industry, things of that nature. And I filmed that for about a year, and I kind of hit a roadblock between not having enough funds to finish it the way I wanted to, but also not wanting to drop the project altogether because I thought that we had already created a dope conversation on social media alone, even with the small amount of followers we had. I could see the conversation growing. So
Right.
again, a chance meeting. I was doing an interview about the color green on at Live Hip Hop Daily on a podcast that was being hosted on their network. And after the show, I had a chance to speak to the owner of Live Hip Hop Daily, my man Herb. And I asked Herb, I said, Herb, I told him about the show, and he was like, "Yo, that's a dope concept with the documentary." I said, "Man, I think I might want to do a podcast." He said, "Well, if you want to, we do got a space up here. It's the only space we got though is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. If you can make a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. work, then it's yours." So I said, "Cool." And when I say the
On
rest is
Taco
history,
Tuesdays too?
yeah, Taco Tuesdays. The rest is history, man. Yeah, we've been doing this now 4 straight years, over 200 episodes. We've had everybody from politicians like Kwanzaa Hall come through to Freeway Ricky Ross, rappers like Sunny Digital, Big Gift from Goody
Yes.
Mob, Fabo. Like the conversations we've had inside that studio with our 420 friendly crowd have been amazing. And I love the fact that when one of my favorite things about Cash Color Cannabis is if you ever go to our studio, you're literally watching networking happen on a different type of level. And you're watching, I literally watch the community grow. Like I'm watching now what I'm seeing in Atlanta and I'm seeing in Georgia. And I'm like, man, I remember so many of them seeds growing in our studio. Like I remember when this person spoke to that person and had that idea. Now they're making that idea pop. And it's been a blessing, man. Like it's really been just a dope journey this whole time, and I feel like we got another 40 years in us to keep going and keep carrying this torch.